Hey everybody, this is the Elvish Killjoy for Team Benevolent Kaboom. I'm starting a new series called Let's Read while Jesshatter is in Philadelphia for WizardWorld. And I had a question today, and nobody wanted to help me answer it because apparently she's that horrid of a person, but she's been all over the news, so I was like, okay, I need to find out. Who is Kylie Jenner? And after a bit of Googling, I found out that she's been a little nuts recently. But more importantly, she wrote a dystopian novel with her sister. There's a ghostwriter, but whatever. She wrote the book. And I love seeing the execution of truly terrible things. And I would like to think that this isn't quite as bad as 50 Shades of Grey, but then again, I'm not sure. So I went and found the book, and we're going to read it, and we're going to see just how bad it is. Or just how good it is. For all I know, she could be the next Hemingway. And I have the prologue in front of me, and we are going to begin. The light broke through the surface. 20 feet tall and armed with bits the size of a man, the drill engines had been running continuously. Andrew, that's A-N-D-R-U, by the way, Andrew read the depth sensors and knew that the end was nearly in sight. Already, his crew had broken 2 more drill bits as they clawed their way upward, covered in dirt and ash and dust and clay. The last 2 engines carried on alternating running times to stave off overheating. Even this close, closer than any had been in the 1,000 years since the world went dark, the heat pooled and sweltered. Andrew oversaw the engines running when his team needed rest. He found that he had no need for sleep. It had been 5 days since he last laid his head down, and it remained that way no more than an hour. He'd been woken by a breeze, fresh air traveling through an unseen vent. The first taste of fresh air in his life. He'd lived beneath the earth for too long. He would wait no longer. His crew were loyalists, committed men who'd left their families to give them better lives. None of them had ever met anyone who'd survived the great catastrophe, and they were no longer sure just how long they were supposed to live beneath the crust, without questioning the world that could be reclaimed above. Generations and generations had carved out communities beneath the earth and grown pale and weak-sighted. Generations upon generations had inherited the conditions wrought by the great catastrophe and the evils it had created. Humanity had been left behind, and there was no longer hope. Even the tales of former Earth had lost their wonder. Andrew was not like the rest. Once he'd salvaged and repaired the engines for his expedition, Andrew petitioned the council to arm and feed his men. They gave him enough to gamble on the dream he sold, but not nearly enough to truly believe in it. Even his brother had tried warning him off his journey, but Andrew couldn't quit his stubbornness, and that is why he also left his wife and son and daughter behind, promising to come back when he finally had sky overhead. He wrapped them in his arms and kissed them all goodbye, then left to assemble his men. Most thought his pursuit of the overworld mortally foolish, but Andrew thought the same of their willingness to war with each other, splintered factions fighting over dwindling supplies and inhabitable caverns. They would continue killing each other down below until none were left. The drill engine pounded at the stone, and Andrew persisted through its unrelenting assault. The light overhead was no more than the size of a fist, and yet it was glorious, though it hurt his eyes. He pulled his goggles on and watched to his satisfaction as it grew larger. Many of his men had died along the way, from cave-ins and blasting explosions, from toxic exposure to unknown elements and collapsing lungs and vicious attacks from what had once been their own people. Andrew was not without blood on his hands. Sacrifice. Each man had agreed to his part, knowing that their pilgrimage to the world beyond afforded a better life than what below could ever give. Sacrifice themselves and reclaim the ruined land for a new future. He heard the rock fracture and crack as his men yell as it fell upon the drill engine. Its operator was killed instantly. The light grew brighter. He couldn't allow his men's faith in him to falter. He stepped up and manned the last remaining engine himself. If more were to die, then he would be next. Okay, I need to compose myself. Okay, we're gonna keep going. He had taken but a mere moment's rest, still seated in the running engine. He wiped the sleep from his eyes, touching the beard that had grown so wildly that his own wife wouldn't recognize him. Thoughts of her and his children kept him sane. Had it been a year since he last saw them? No, not that much. It couldn't have been. He drank enough to wet his mouth and washed the grit from it when one of the spotters came running. For him to have deserted his post, something was terribly wrong. As the spotter came closer, Andrew could see blood streaming from his face, and even worse, an eye missing. What? His eye is missing. What even? His shouts were unintelligible and panicked. Andrew hopped down, the engine still firing into the world above. He waved one of his men in to replace him, even as wild calls rose from the darkness beyond the camp. "Gear up!" Andrew shouted. They'd escaped being attacked since the surface had been broken, and he'd hoped. His hope was foolish. He could show them only through action that testing his might was immensely foolish. There were almost 24 of his crew remaining, minus the spotter with the savaged eye. In their hands they held metal bars and pikes. Andrew hefted his sledge in 2 hands. It was still stained with the blood of the last pack who thought his men would be easily broken. Did they not know that his men had broken Earth itself? And yet, they weren't prepared for the force of men who flooded their camp, perhaps 3, even 4 times the size of his crew. It just meant more for his sledge, which he swung now with unmatched resolve and felt a man's skull give way. Yet these men who attacked were not savages or mutants, marred by pollution and interbreeding. Atros? He saw the man who he once called brother knife a grunt of no more than 16 cycles. More of his men died around him as Andrew continued to swing his sledge, breaking bone wherever it landed. His arms cried through the strain. The drill engine hammered away. By the time Atros and his man took the camp, they'd left only 3 men alive, but wounded. All 3 would surely die. None could remain to remember the truth of the attack. Andrew was forced to kneel at Atros's feet. The drill engine was now silent, its operator killed in his chair. Why? Andrew asked, his mind reeling, betrayed by his own people, his own brother. The world will not be yours, Atros said. It will be greater than that. Know that your journey was not in vain. Your plans will continue, but you will not see them through. And then, looking into his brother's eyes, Andrew was killed. A knife passed across his throat, and he slumped over as the life left his body and soaked into the earth. He cast his eyes upward with the last of his energy at the broken ground, a gust passing through it to cool his face, and finally he saw the sky and the hard-won heavens above. Jesus Christ. Wow. That is, So this is a book. This is a book. And let me check. Okay, now we're at chapter 1. My PDF, to be fair, my PDF has very big letters, and I'm assuming that the ebook I have is the same. But there are 707 pages, and jeez, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. But we're we're going to keep going through Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Countdown to Emergence Ball, day before. This is Livia's perspective. This isn't Kylie's self-insert. This is the sister. I think her name's Kendall. I'm breaking the rules, and I absolutely refuse to care. Vita gallops through the floating gardens and whinnies ecstatically as we pass the last of the designated security posts. Each gallop takes us farther and farther away from the main quarters and closer to where the island ends and the clouds begin. For a moment, I forget I'm virtually a prisoner. I can leave this island, but not unsupervised, and even then there is little I'm allowed to see, especially what lies below. Back in the main quarters, governess will go to wake me from my rest. Oh, Jesus Christ. She'll be displeased at my unexpected absence, to say the least, with so many tasks yet to be done. Final gown mods, vitamin injections, rosebud cheek infusions, last-minute blemish inspection, and evulsion. Then there is practice. There is always practice. The curtsy, low, but not unladylike. The conversation, pleasant, but not probing. There are fan drills to rehearse. The art of fan communication is delicate. This I've been endlessly taught. An incorrect flick of the wrist, a hereafter with a man I despise. Expand the fan wide to indicate interest. Tap his shoulder to flirt. Right hand, I am available. Smack closed, I dare say we are incompatible. I plan on using that last one a great deal. The guest list must be memorized, ranked in order of importance. There are more insults to perfect, not to mention an inhuman amount of grooming. Tomorrow is the most important day of my life, after all. I've been told it so much I'm starting to believe it and fear it. Keep going, I tell Vita. The rhythmic thump of her hooves grows faster, and a frenzied, unrestrained drumbeat. My mother loved music just as I do. She spent entire days on her air harp, her fingers dancing along its chords, weaving songs while painting her studio with colorful beams of light. My mother, according to governess, was a charming conversationalist and graceful dancer. Governess tells me all about my mother, and she often repeats herself. There is only so much to tell, only so many stories. I know that she designed her own formal wear and enjoyed berries and chocolate after dining, that she favored the color blue and wore one long braid down her back unless the occasion dictated a more formal updo. I know a great deal about my mother, and yet nothing at all. A sudden rush of cold smacks me across the face, the air off the clouds growing stronger. Faster, I tell Vita. I pass the hedge maze and tranquility pastures, roar underneath the welcoming gate. Not that anyone is really welcome. Not to Helix Island. Oh my god, Helix Island. I want to go faster than I ever have, farther than I ever thought possible. Now governess will have gone from displeased to frantic. This is worse than skipping penmanship, worse than rolling my eyes when one of the debutees expresses her unfortunate opinion during etiquette training. Oh, well, God forbid you do that. Why can't you just try, asks governess when I'm reported for impropriety. Can't you put forth the tiniest bit of effort? But she will never understand. Not saying these things takes a lot of effort. This is the farthest I have gone without a chaperone. Beneath me, Vita snorts with elation and fear. Don't be afraid, girl, I say. I hold my own fear tight, letting it surge through my body and push me farther. When I'm found, Waslow will be informed. Waslow. W-A-S-L-O. That's Waslow. He is sure to engage me in a discussion. Waslow Sator. Okay, Waslow Sator was my father's protege. My father had friends as well, though I haven't met any. They have good reason to keep their distance from the legacy he left behind. I can't imagine Waslow was ever a friend of my father. We're going to keep saying Waslow. Okay, fine. A most talented student, I can't deny, for his ascent into the independent High Council is praiseworthy, if that's the sort of thing you'd like to do with your life. Waslow had been around for as long as I can remember. There have also been discussions as long as I remember. Perhaps he will choose respect for the family name, or appropriate behavior as a reflection of upbringing. Those classics I have committed to memory. Woslow grows especially passionate near the end of appropriate behavior. Sometimes even a little spittle catches on his bottom lip. Oh, geez, ask for the news, not the weather, Woslow. No, these are not suitable enough. Not for an offense this bold. For this he will choose being a proper young woman. A proper young woman would never dishonor her legacy in such an inappropriate matter, he will say. And on the eve of your emergence ball at that, what would your father think? I wish I knew, I will think, but never dream of saying. Instead, I will stay silent, head bowed in shame, waiting for him to finish, hoping his spit doesn't find purchase farther than his thin lips. I will feel inadequate, just as he intended. Perhaps this is why Woslow is so important. He has a gift for making others feel unsatisfactory. This will be our last discussion, I suppose. In a few hours I will reach my 17th year of life. Tomorrow is my emergence ball. Within the week I will have a cohabitant. Shortly after I will be relocated to my cohabitant's island, or as done in some cases, he will come to live on Helix. Okay, so they own islands on Helix? I don't know. And then we will officially, as the Book of Indra tells us, embark upon the journey of becoming proper cohabitated citizens of Indrithian society. Woslow shouldn't fret so much. Soon I will be someone else's problem. Strangely enough, the thought makes me laugh, hard enough to shift across Vita's bare back. I can't help but regard my laughter as highly unbecoming, but I do it anyway. I shake the pins from my head, letting my hair fall against my shoulders, allowing the wind to whip it into tangles and surge forward. Okay, I don't even know if this now's the time to stop, but, oh, jeez. How much chapter do I have left? Okay, there's a lot of chapter left, so I'm gonna get through the next few pages. Proper young women of the New Indrithian Society are happy to practice elocution and become versed in etiquette. They will memorize flower sonnets, never questioning that real flowers have not existed for centuries. Once flowers even had a scent like perfume. There were more strains than we have selected to synth. Okay. I'm sure grass must have smelled wonderful as well, not like the synth fields Vita tramples with each stride. Synth is as close to the former Earth as Indra's finest scientists can replicate, but it will never be truly real. I often wonder if anything is in Indra. Proper young women of the New Indrithian Society understand that penetrating questions are unnecessary. Curiosity is rude. Proper young women need not think beyond the gift of each magical Indrithian day. The lovely blooming of the synth trees, the filtered air and purified water. Best not dwell below, the old saying goes, or as written in the Book of Indra, unpleasant topics bring about unpleasant feelings. So why ever broach such subjects? Blech. I cannot help myself. I want to question everything. I want to rip off my sashes and shriek like a hellion. I want to roll in the grass and soil my spotless white frock. Nothing is more pointless than a white gown. It's like telling the world you were incapable of interaction. Excuse me? I'm not normal, I think. Or at least, I'm not like anyone else. When they find me, governess will sputter and cry, "Your happiness is my sole reason for existence!" Needless to say, I will apologize profusely. I will play an embarrassment, put the fault on my nervousness, willingly submit myself to her itinerary of torture. This is torture. This is killing me. Even better, I will pin the blame on heartbreak. My impending cohabitation means leaving you, dear governess. You are the closest I have ever had to a mother. This should quiet her quickly. Strangely enough, the sentiment is true. I often wonder how she felt after all those years of training for the High Council to assign her to an orphan. An impossibly strange one at that. An odd little girl who, when choosing her leisure pastime as a child, insisted on sportsmanship, not social dancing or needlepoint as practiced by the highest ranks. I would wager governess has regretted her assignment every day since. But doesn't she see the respect with which I hold my zinger? With every slash it barks. In the hands of a skilled swordsman, it would weave dangerous melodies. The more adept, the more sophisticated the song. The dissonant chorus of my practice must haunt her waking moments. Can't she imagine the songs it will one day sing? Raising me cannot have been an easy task, but tomorrow is the day governess has been planning since my infancy. My birth into the social stratosphere, my official welcome into the realm of Indrifian citizens of importance, and I am off riding Vita. My emergence ball will be spectacular, and that's all that matters. As for me, I'm more of a gilded centerpiece to be admired. I'm Livia Cosmo, the orphan heiress. That's not heiress like H-E-I-R-E-S-S. This is A-I-R-E-S-S. Heiress. That's heir. Living, breathing memorial to the great Armand Cosmo. My father was a true Indrifian of importance. Did he have a girl nickel? Lydia? I'm not sure. Where's Wanda? Is your mom named Wanda? I would really love to know that. Before he died. The dead are never as important. Well, I feel insensitive. My mother is at his side. I'm the only one who remembers them. And yet, I have no memories of them. I'm not sad. I never knew them. You cannot miss something you never had in the first place. Orphans are rare in Upper Indra. In fact, I believe I'm the only one. Life expectancy is long here. Citizens are limited to a single progeny per cohabitation. That is how it has always been. Father, mother, and child. A child on their own? An orphan? Who would look out for such a thing? Who would show it care? Vita is an anomaly too. Horses have not existed for centuries, but my father successfully bred them in his labs. The colts were pitch black, and none survived very long. Only a solitary mare. Most refer to Vita as white, but they're mistaken. Vita is ivory, and that is altogether different. Not really, it's like 2 shades off, sweetie. No one knows how long she will live, but I do not worry. No one knows what to expect from me either. Vita belonged to my mother, and now she is mine, and she has never run faster. We're gonna stop right there. I think I'm done. I think I'm done for now. If you guys want me to keep going with this book, I just finished where I am. I have the place bookmarked. If anything, if you guys want me to finish, I will absolutely continue, even though it is kind of bad. It's not as bad as 50 Shades of Grey, thank God, but like it's up there. It's up there. It's pretty bad. Like this is the best way I can describe this to you is this is the literary equivalent of the Chinese food song. And if you don't know what the Chinese food song is, look it up. It's on YouTube. So I'm gonna go. I feel like I've left you with something good today. And that's it. This is the Elvish Killjoy for Team Benevolent Kaboom. I hope you enjoyed the series, and I think we're going to keep going with it. I think it's interesting. I think this might be interesting. And bye-bye now. Goodbye.